Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern, Chapter 1.
There's something about The Princess Bride that has made it stick with me throughout my life. Perhaps it's how quotable the film is.
Inconceivable! Knowledge!
As you wish.
And as many of the actors can attest, that's the case for a majority of the audience.
Well, when people come up to me, it's happened just the other day, eating, and he whispered in my ear, "Is it lean?"
But I think it's something more than that. There's something about The Princess Bride that appeals to our love for adventure.
Hi, people! Come up from now. I've forgotten my line.
While The Princess Bride is largely considered a classic today, that wasn't always the case. In fact, the film almost never got made. The screenplay was picked up several times after Goldman wrote it in 1973, but due to various firings and studio closings, the film remained untouched for over a decade. Finally, it was picked up by Rob Reiner, who had previously worked on This Is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, and Stand By Me. It was a film that really had everything.
Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
In fact, the film was so unique that the advertising team wasn't really sure how to market it.
They didn't know how to sell the picture. Was it a comedy? Was it a fairy tale? Was it a kids movie? Was it an adult movie? Was it an action film? You know.
So when it was finally released in theaters, it did well critically, but only performed moderately well at the box office. It wasn't until the film was released on VHS that it began to become hugely popular. So what was it that struck a chord with audiences all those years later? First, I want to look at the framing of the film, as I feel it has a huge impact on the rest of the story. Imagine for a moment what The Princess Bride would be without the idea of a grandfather sharing his favorite story with his grandson. The plot of the film wouldn't be greatly affected, but something would be lost without that framing device. There's something about this storytelling that takes us all back to a time when a loved one told us a story. The fact that the story is being heard through the ears of a child also gives us a different perspective on the events of the film. It activates a childlike love for adventure that exists in all of us. It calls me back to a time of having grand adventures in my backyard, pretending to be a pirate, or fighting a giant, or climbing huge cliffs to see a tiny world below. I think there's something about the pacing of the film as well that harkens us back to a time of imaginative adventure. The story never feels stagnant. It's always moving from one adventure to the next, from sailing through eel-infested waters, to climbing the cliffs of insanity, to navigating the fire swamp, to storming a castle. The story perpetually hurls us forward through a number of locations and challenges, and once the film is finished, we feel like we've just been on a grand quest, filled with a variety of hurdles and villains that we've had to overcome. The other thing that sets The Princess Bride apart in my mind is that its tone feels so unique. It's lighthearted, but not screwball. It's satirical, but not insincere. Its dialogue is endlessly witty, and at the same time, heartfelt. It's simultaneously the story of a drunk Spaniard on a quest to avenge his father, a giant with a huge heart, an overconfident Sicilian, a farm boy turned pirate, and a commoner who nearly became a princess. It's a story of fantasy and family, of revenge and rescue, of trials and true love, and it's one grand adventure. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, and comment below what you love about The Princess Bride, or maybe even your most used quote from it. Alright, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.